For centuries, people have been telling tales about hidden treasures, both literal and figurative. What stories do they hold? What history can be learned, from prehistoric shark teeth to unmarked graves? Thanks for joining us. I'm Nathalie Pozo. Today, we're bringing you stories of unique finds that connect us to history and discovery of oneself. Our first story takes us to Pennsylvania, where WGAL reporter Ann Shannon has more about a boy who found a rare fossil.
This is a Mako.
Riley Gracely and his family have collected hundreds of shark teeth during their annual visit to Palmetto Fossil Excursions in South Carolina. And while his family has found some impressive artifacts, Riley was still on the lookout.
When this year came along, he's thinking, okay, it's my turn. I gotta get something this time.
He did.
I just looked on top and it was just laying down.
Riley spotted this fossilized shark tooth stuck in a pile of dirt.
As soon as I see it and I really like it, I'm like, I'm not gonna wait till everybody comes around just to pick it up and walk away with it.
He immediately showed it off to his family.
Should I do it like this or this way?
The tooth measures in at more than 4 3/4 inches. A giant tooth that belonged to a pretty large and very, very old shark.
But this particular species, I think it predates the Megalodon. It's called an Angustiodens.
The tooth is identified by the matching cusps on each side. It's likely worth a couple $1,000s. It's being called the find of a lifetime. But Riley says he's not done yet.
I want to go back to find more big teeth so I can add them to my collection.
Sticking with fossil finds, KOAT reporter Todd Kurtz visits a wilderness area in New Mexico where paleontologists are finding new discoveries all the time.
Check out the Bisti Danazin Wilderness, a sprawling 45,000 acres of badlands just south of Farmington. There are some of the most unique rock formations on the planet, with constant changes in the landscape as you hike.
And if you do come take a hike out here, one really cool thing just to keep your eye out for is this rock formation right here. They call these hoodoos.
So hoodoo is a formation where you have a more resistant rock on top and a less resistant rock below. There's a lot of different shapes, and people like to come up with their own names for them when they see them because they're just all these crazy, neat shapes.
The group took me to a very old log jam. These are petrified logs. They were once trees standing here about 70 million years ago. They fell, were buried, and then fossilized. The wood was replaced by minerals, so they still look like the trees, but are more like rocks now.
The little shiny crystals in there that have replaced all of the cellular material in the wood.
The other fossils all over this area are from dinosaurs, a dream spot for paleontologists. The adventure is limitless at Bisti.
Truly a paleontologist's heaven. In California, one couple hit the jackpot after they dug up a diamond worth thousands of dollars. KCRA's Walter McCalla has the story.
Michael and Noreen Redberg just returned from the Crater of Diamond State Park in Arkansas, where they paid $10 each to go diamond hunting.
My husband started digging with the shovel and putting the dirt in the screen, and I was like shaking it, trying to find any diamonds or rocks or whatever.
But Noreen said she wasn't having any luck, so she decided to walk around. Then she saw something shiny and bent over to pick it up.
Moved a little bit of the dirt out of the way, and it was a good-sized rock, and there was no dirt that was sticking to it once I picked it up, so I thought it could be a diamond.
She said because it was the size of a jelly bean, she thought there's no way she found a diamond that big. Noreen continued searching while Michael took it in and handed it over to a woman in the office.
She said, oh, it looked like a stone you get at one of those places you can buy, rocks from.
But to be sure, she called in one of the experts. Mike says they put it into a machine and shined a laser on it. When 3 rangers showed up and one of them was armed, he knew something was up. They sat him down and said,
you have a 4.38 carat yellow diamond. And I was like, are you kidding me?
Michael said he was speechless. Noreen was still outside looking for more sparkling rocks in the dirt. She says all of a sudden she hears her name being announced over the loudspeaker.
Noreen Redberg, would you come to the rental office?
The Redbergs were told this is the largest diamond that's been found in the park this entire year.
I found it hard to believe. With two people who just wanted to experience, digging for diamonds in a real diamond field, And it was just like, it must have been our day.
The experts told them they were lucky it rained 2 days prior. The largest diamonds are always found on the surface about 2 days after a large rain blows through. A lot of times, the shovels and buckets aren't even needed.
And here I am out there digging holes like crazy.
Such an incredible find. Not all discoveries are material, though. After a man loses his eyesight, he realizes a newfound talent for music. WYFF's Chip Baisden with a story in South Carolina.
When I walk out on stage, the electricity and the energy, hear the applause, hear the hoops, hear the hollers, it energizes me on the inside in a way that I just can't even put into words. I'm a person of faith, and I never saw myself as a guitar player before I lost my vision. Oh, it's 6 a.m. and my heart is on fire. It's getting down to the wire. My name is Larry Joe Lambert, and I've been visually impaired and blind since the winter of 1978.
Yep, straight ahead.
I was being looked at. Ohio State used to come to my schools, the Ironton Fighting Tigers in Ironton, Ohio. The late Woody Hayes saw me play. I was a sophomore, and I know for a fact that he said, that young man has a lot of promise. I want to keep an eye on him. We'll be watching him. He was very gifted, very talented, power hitter, football, baseball, wrestling. And I couldn't hit anything that day in practice. I mean, nothing. And the coach threw 50 to 100 pitches, and he knew that there was something wrong. And I noticed in the center of vision of the right eye, a blurry spot about the size of the palm of a man's hand, a circular spot. And there was a tumor discovered roughly the size of a large orange on my optic nerves on the base of my brain. At the flip of the switch, within about a year, it was all gone, and I went from being probably one of the most popular athletes and guys in the school to just being a guy that went blind that was a former sports standout. Well, it's 5 a.m. and my face is on fire. Salt water burns my skin. After I went blind, I developed within 1 to 2 years the ability to play jazz, blues, bluegrass, folk, rock, country. I mean, I could play anything, and it just sort of happened. No, I did not sell my soul to the devil to be a lead guitar player. I'm a person of faith, and I never saw myself as a guitar player before I lost my vision. I decided after I went blind to be independent, and that's how I decided to live my life.
Got the most beautiful blueprint eyes I've ever seen. Just like water's off of CS.
You have to master your disability, or it will master you. Siesta, Kiki, say yes. I feed on positivity. I feed on my guitar, and I feed on love. I want to, corny as it sounds, I want to love people and be kind to people, and you cast that out on the waters, and it'll come back to you, hopefully, Siesta Key, Siesta Key, Siesta Key, girl.
What a wonderful gift, Larry. After the break, we bring you discoveries that have uncovered important histories. Welcome back. We're now bringing you discoveries that have uncovered forgotten histories. First, WMUR reporter Nicole Lally is in New Hampshire with the story of a man who found a Civil War soldier's ID tag and the journey to properly honor him.
This is awesome. A Civil War soldier ID tag.
JP Hunt's making this historic discovery a once-in-a-lifetime find.
I was so emotional in the moment. I mean, I really just, I want to say that it just brought tears to my eyes because it's just unbelievable. It's not something that I thought I would ever find.
The name on the tag, Francis Rourke, a Civil War soldier with New Hampshire's 14th Volunteer Regiment.
I had to find out everything about that soldier, why he was there, who he was, and all the details. But more importantly, I wanted to find out if there was any living descendants.
JP's research brought him to St. Joseph's Cemetery on Route 12 in Keene. He found the family plot for Rourke, his wife, and his daughter. He has no known living descendants. There was also something else missing.
He had never had a military stone marker ever installed or recognized with the VA.
That all changed. A special ceremony was held with the Civil War reenactment group. The new military stone unveiled, marking another great veteran who served our country.
It was a 10-month mission, but it all worked out. It was a beautiful ceremony, and I couldn't ask for anything more.
And JP says he isn't done. While in New Hampshire for the ceremony, he found out that there are other soldiers buried in the same cemetery from the 14th Regiment.
Finding Rourke's ID disc wasn't just to have recognition for war, but maybe it was to recognize other soldiers within that cemetery that were in his regiment.
JP says he'll continue his mission to make sure markers are properly placed for every soldier.
Such an incredibly thoughtful act to honor the fallen soldier. In Florida, a woman made a similar discovery. WPBF reporter Angela Rozier has the story of a woman who found artifacts in her condo that mapped out the life of a veteran hero.
This is an accumulation of photos and documents which tells a very vague story about an incredible man.
That man is Milton J. Foreman. Susan McCrary came across all of this completely by accident. The collection was found inside a condo she purchased back in 1991.
Apparently the owner had no descendants and she had passed away, so it was furnished, and I discovered these documents along with her belongings.
She learned Foreman was born in Chicago in 1863, a child of the Chicago Fire who at a young age had to support his family, a lieutenant general, a politician, and one of the founders of the American Legion.
I knew it was an incredible collection that really probably told a story that was meant to be heard.
A representative with the American Legion tells me the organization was formed by a group of World War I veterans like Foreman who were concerned about how vets would be treated after the war.
It helped form the world that we know of today. And, sadly, it wasn't the war to end all wars like they had hoped.
He believes it's important to know the people who made it happen.
General Foreman actually gave a speech in 1921, and he discussed that, some of his concerns with the uneasy peace, shall we say, that existed with Germany and the terms that it would not be the last war. People like General Foreman helped build the society that we all enjoy today.
General Foreman's story lives on thanks to Susan. Next, in Pittsburgh, WTAE reporter Tom Garris highlights a man on a mission to find the unmarked graves of historic baseball players and properly recognize them.
There are more than 39,000 people buried here at the Monongahela Cemetery of North Braddock. This community champion fighting to save the history of one in particular.
He is buried, like I said, he's in this area.
Vince Charamella is on a mission to make sure Ernest Pud Gooden is remembered. Gooden played for the Homestead Grays, the Negro League team in the 1920s, but his gravesite and that of many other players is still unmarked.
Well, right now we're in the preliminary stages of finding everybody. We've got about little north of 20, less than 30 people we need to mark over the course of the next few years.
The history teacher is part of a national push to get headstones for these men with the Negro League's Baseball Grave Marker Project and the Josh Gibson Foundation.
These guys were marginalized in life and, forgotten in death.
Gooden's headstone would be the fourth of its kind in Pittsburgh. 3 others were placed here in 2009 at the Greenwood Cemetery in Sharpsburg. Section 12, Row 36, Sam Bankhead, husband, father, Negro Baseball League legend. He was best known for his exceptional throwing arm, according to the Negro League's Baseball Museum.
We hope that by finding guys like Gooden and others, we can bring their story to the larger public, get their contribution to baseball recognized.
Such an important project. After the break, we take you on more missions to keep history alive. Welcome back. We're now taking a look at discoveries that keep history alive. In Boston, a professor is working to highlight forgotten important Black history sites. WCVB reporter Rondella Richardson has the story.
Walk through Granary Burial Ground, and among monuments to America's founding fathers, some Black history literally part of the plot.
So we're standing next to the common grave in which Crispus Attucks was buried.
Attucks, a former Framingham slave of Black and Native American descent, stood up to British soldiers and went down in history as a patriot who spurred the American Revolution.
He and a group of fellow Bostonians staged a protest. They confronted British soldiers, and the soldiers shot into the crowd, and Crispus Attucks was the first to die at the massacre. And
most walk by and totally miss Attucks near Tremont Street.
The Granary Burial Ground, there were people of color who were buried here. A lot of times they were buried in unmarked graves. Having a gravesite or having a grave marker was a sign of somebody who had sort of some money.
Dr. Kerry Greenwich, a Mellon assistant professor at Tufts University, has been uncovering hidden Black history, including at what is now the AMC Theater. Long before the multiplex, Black resistance and resilience was shown here at the old Tremont Theater.
In 1915, with the release of D.W. Griffith's film Birth of a Nation, this theater became the site of massive protests by the Black community against that film, which basically glorified the Ku Klux Klan and white violence against African Americans.
Dr. Greenwich dug through the historic archives to learn all about the Tremont Theater here. And to this day, there's no marker, nothing to denote all of the Black history.
We need some more commemoration of Black and Black stories here.
So she wrote a book on Black newspaperman William Monroe Trotter, a Harvard grad who fought racism.
And they petitioned the mayor of Boston, James Michael Curley, to outlaw the film. And Curley was known to outlaw all sorts of films in Boston, banned in Boston, that's where that term comes from. But he refused to ban Birth of a Nation. And so the Black community staged a series of protests at this theater. They threw stuff at the screens so that the movie couldn't be played.
Beacon Hill was home to the Black community in 1806 when these bricks were steeped in Black culture. Blacks built and owned the Joy Street African Meeting House. There are so many missing pages to be told year-round.
Kerry is truly doing incredible work to preserve Black history in Boston. In Pennsylvania, WGAL reporter Barbara Barr brings us the story of a high school discovering a long-lost mural that chronicled special memories from the past.
I painted a lot of the landscape, the flowers here in the forefront, the deer.
Jack Eckert was one of 6 students in the class of 1962 at Penn Manor High School who painted this mural.
This is Jack Eckert, his senior picture. Winnie Todd did the horse and the guy with a plow.
It depicts life at Penn Manor and in Millersville at the time. This is the first Eckert or anyone has seen the oil painting in nearly a quarter century.
Of course, it brings back great memories. And remember not just the painting and all that, but all the people that were involved in this.
The mural hung in the main lobby of the school from 1962 until about 1997.
So it disappeared when I was an assistant principal. We had done that first renovation, and when we came back in, I said, oh, what did they do with the mural?
And now with the school undergoing a major renovation and building project, something out of the ordinary happened. Superintendent Mike Licklider noticed a door to an abandoned boiler room open. This section of the high school is due to be torn down, and so he wanted to come in and make sure there was nothing here that needed to be saved. Well, that's when he noticed what looked like an old piece of plywood propped up against the wall. It turned out to be the lost mural.
For us to find something that was such a prominent feature in the high school, to be able to restore that, bring it back for all of our alumni is just very meaningful to me.
A long-lost masterpiece now found and cherished. Our last story takes us to a former battlefield in Louisiana, where conservationists discovered flowers that help reveal a hidden history of a town no longer standing. WDSU's Morgan Lentis has the story.
You know, because everybody had been telling me there were no irises out here, I was like, but that looks like irises.
In the shadow of this St. Bernard smokestack lay a secret waiting to bloom.
We realized it was because we always mowed the battlefield, and we mowed it during growing season, and so there really weren't any irises to be seen for all those years. COVID interrupted the mowing schedule,
creating the perfect opportunity for these purple beauties to return to Chalmette Battlefield, a place they were likely cultivated and cared for since the end of the Civil War.
We all came to that conclusion at the same time. It was emotional. I think we all just kind of stood there quietly for a while and just took it all in.
Because the team with the Louisiana Iris Conservation Initiative believe they've unearthed flowers planted by the people of Fossenville, a historically black community established for recently freed slaves.
it had all the things you need in a village: a church, a school, a store.
In 2022, the path to get to those irises is not an easy walk, but believe it or not, about 100 years ago, this was actually a road.
All the irises were on the downriver side, same size as all of the homes, and started thinking like gardeners and going, irises must have been planted by the residents.
Like the ancestors of Beverly Collins, who recently came to the battlefield to help volunteers map these treasures from the past.
That's exactly the reason why I wanted to come, because as the park ranger said, you come when the flowers grow up, then you'll see right where the houses were.
She believes her great-grandfather, who came to New Orleans as a slave, may have lived in one of those houses.
They owned something. They were here.
And now, through one small flower, their stories will hopefully live on.
It's such an emotional rush to know that my ancestors walked on this same ground.
May their stories continue to live on. I hope these discoveries brought you joy and inspire you to never stop exploring, because you never know what treasures you'll find. I'm Nathalie Pozo. From all of us at Stitch, thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.